So why did he need a black director? Could a white director not have
It's not
produced this
color,
work?
it's culture.
You already know the stereotype. Famous actor signs a blockbuster deal worth tens of millions. Within 2 years, there's a fleet of luxury cars parked in a gated Bel Air mansion, watches that cost more than your house, vacations to private islands, wardrobes that read like a who's who of Fashion Week. That's the script Hollywood writes for its biggest stars. But what if some of the most talented, most decorated, most powerful actors in the entertainment industry looked at that script and threw it straight in the trash? Today, we are counting down 19 black actors who have made it big, generational wealth big, Oscar-winning big, franchise-carrying big, yet choose to live in ways that would make you do a double take. Some shop at discount stores, some drive cars that would embarrass a mid-level accountant, and at least one of them, a multimillionaire, still lives at home with his parents. Stay with me, because by the time we reach number 1, your whole definition of what it means to be truly wealthy is going to shift. Comment down below as we go. Which one of these actors surprises you the most? I promise, at least one of these names is going to absolutely floor you. Let's get into it. Number 19. Daniel Kaluuya. Daniel Kaluuya's story sets the tone for everything that follows. He burst onto the global stage with Get Out in 2017, a film that cost roughly $4.5 million and earned over $255 million worldwide. Almost overnight, Daniel went from a relatively unknown British actor to one of the most in-demand names in Hollywood. He followed it up with Black Panther and Judas and the Black Messiah, for which he won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. By any measure, Daniel Kaluuya has arrived. He has the Oscar, the credits, and a salary most people could not spend in 3 lifetimes. And yet, Daniel grew up on a council estate in London, the British equivalent of public housing. He didn't grow up with much. What he grew up with was hunger, drive, and a grounded understanding of what the real world looks like. Winning an Oscar didn't wash any of that away. He still goes back to London regularly. He maintains the same friendships from before Hollywood found him. He stays connected to his community and his roots.
But she's gonna be cool. She's gonna be cool. Nah, she's gonna be cool. She just like, she knows, she's got a sense of humor, so we give it to each other, so it's cool.
He hasn't upgraded his personality to match his bank account. He's not chasing every paycheck. He's chasing meaning, stories that have something real to say. And financially, he's investing wisely, thinking long-term, planning for a future in what is often a deeply unpredictable career. Daniel Kaluuya knows exactly where he came from, and he's choosing, consciously and deliberately, never to forget it. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Number 18. Mahershala Ali. 2 Oscar wins. 2. Mahershala Ali sits in rarefied air, a 2-time Academy Award winner, a critical darling, one of the most respected actors working today. And you would never know it from the way he carries himself. Here's a question. When was the last time you saw Mahershala Ali making headlines for anything other than his actual work? No tabloid drama, no viral social media moments, no controversy. Just the work, just the craft, because that is intentionally who he chooses to be. He came to real fame relatively late, spending years grinding while other younger stars were already living lavishly. By the time the spotlight found him, he had a clear-eyed understanding of what fame was worth and what it wasn't. His Muslim faith plays a significant role in keeping him anchored. He's spoken openly about how his spiritual beliefs give him perspective on wealth that's difficult to manufacture any other way. When you genuinely believe that material things are temporary, not as a motivational poster philosophy, but as a lived, practiced conviction, you stop needing to perform wealth for an audience. Mahershala lives modestly. He's not accumulating luxury items. He is deeply private, barely posts on social media, and lets the work speak. In a culture absolutely drowning in noise, that quiet confidence is its own kind of power. Number 17. Taraji P. Henson. Here is someone who will tell you the truth whether you are ready to hear it or not. Taraji P. Henson came up from Washington, D.C. with talent, fire, and very little money. She has spoken openly, sometimes painfully openly, about the years she was struggling so badly she couldn't afford proper childcare for her son. Working, auditioning, grinding, and still barely making ends meet. Those years didn't just shape her, They branded her. Empire turned Taraji into a household name globally. Hidden Figures cemented her as a critical force. She became one of the most recognizable faces in entertainment. And yet she will sit down in an interview and tell you, with zero embarrassment, that she shops for deals, looks for discounts, and doesn't spend money just because she has it. That's not a PR strategy. That is someone who remembers viscerally what it felt like to have nothing and refuses to be reckless just because the bank account changed. But here's what makes Taraji's story even more layered.
That's their story, that whatever backstory they came, that belongs to them. I'm coming with a whole new energy.
She's one of the loudest voices in Hollywood about pay equity for Black women. She has walked away from projects that didn't compensate her fairly. She fights hard for what she's worth, not because she's greedy, but because she understands that accepting less isn't humility, it's harm. And then she takes that money she fought for and pours it into the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation, named for her late father, focused on mental health awareness in the Black community. Being careful with your money and being generous with your money are not contradictions. They are partners. Tell me in the comments, do you think more celebrities should speak as honestly as Taraji does about money? Number 16. Forest Whitaker. An Oscar, a Golden Globe, decades of transformative performances. Forest Whitaker is a giant of his craft, and off-screen, he is one of the quietest, most spiritually grounded human beings in Hollywood. Forest has never been the type to flaunt. His interests genuinely lie in spirituality, personal growth, and the philosophies that have kept him centered across a career that would disorient most people.
Point of view is going to be one, because I think the one thing about Ryan is that he has a strong social conscience.
But what truly distinguishes Forrest from almost every other name on this list is where his real energy goes. He founded the Whitaker Peace and Development Initiative, an organization working on the ground to empower youth in underserved communities around the world, with a particular focus on Africa. The key word is on the ground. Forrest doesn't just write checks and put his name on a letterhead. He travels to these communities. He engages directly. He does the actual work. Every person on this list has found a way to use their success to help others, but Forrest Whitaker might be the most hands-on of all of them. He decided his real legacy happens not on a film set, but in a village somewhere, with young people who needed someone to show up, and he showed up. Number 15. Chadwick Boseman. There are names on this list that are inspiring, and then there is Chadwick Boseman, who occupies a category entirely his own. We lost Chadwick in August of 2020. He was 43 years old, and when the news broke, the world was stunned, because almost nobody outside his inner circle had known he was battling colon cancer for the last 4 years. 4 years, fighting for his life privately, quietly, without seeking sympathy, while simultaneously delivering some of the most demanding performances of his career. Think about what that means. While filming Black Panther, T'Challa, the King, the symbol of Black excellence for millions around the world, he was fighting cancer. While playing Jackie Robinson, James Brown, Thurgood Marshall, carrying those immense historical figures and doing them justice, he was in pain.
Find a way to look after one another.
And he didn't tell anyone, because he didn't want it to become the story. He wanted the work to be the story. Chadwick Boseman did not live extravagantly. Even at the height of Black Panther's cultural phenomenon, one of the highest-grossing films of all time, he wasn't buying mansions. He lived modestly. He visited sick children in hospitals. He chose his roles not primarily for paychecks, but to honor lives and educate audiences. Chadwick never performed wealth. He never performed fame. He carried himself with a dignity that felt ancient and earned. And he gave us every bit of that grace while quietly facing the most terrifying battle a human being can face. We may never see anyone quite like him again. Number 14. Angela Bassett. Still delivering performances at 66 that make younger actors rethink their entire approach. Angela Bassett is a legend. Tina Turner, Queen Ramonda, Betty Shabazz. A resume that reads like a syllabus for transformative acting. And her personal life matches the integrity of her professional one. Angela has been married to actor Courtney B. Vance since 1997. Angela and Courtney built something that holds. They raised twins together. They stayed. In Hollywood, that alone is a radical act. Angela is legendary for her physical discipline, maintaining an extraordinary physique not through expensive procedures, but through consistent, disciplined work, hard workouts, clean eating. She's made it clear that taking care of yourself doesn't have to be expensive.
Catherine Bigelow. I love this guy. Mwah. I love that movie. I can still recite.
It has to be consistent. She's not known for excessive spending. She is known for fighting, loudly and unapologetically, for pay equity, especially for Black women over 40. Fair compensation, she has argued publicly. Angela Bassett has built her legacy not through accumulation, but through excellence and integrity, and she is still building it. Number 13. Sterling K. Brown. Here's a name you might not immediately think of when you think of Hollywood excess, and that is precisely the point. Sterling K. Brown won the Emmy. He won the Golden Globe. This Is Us made him one of the most beloved actors on television for years. He is unquestionably at the top of his profession. And yet if you described his daily life, the word you'd reach for isn't glamorous, it's normal. Sterling talks about his wife and his kids in almost every interview, not as talking points, but as actual priorities. He's not trying to be seen at every Hollywood event. He would genuinely rather be home. In a town built entirely on being seen, that's a statement. He married actress Ryan Michelle Bathe in 2007. They are still together. Sterling has spoken about financial responsibility, about not coming from wealth, about understanding how quickly things can change, and planning accordingly. He saves, he invests, he thinks seriously about his family's future, and he treats everyone the same: crew members, fans, the people who make the coffee on set. He hasn't developed the attitude that sometimes creeps in with success. His character hasn't drifted. That's rarer than the Emmy. Number 12. Regina King. An Emmy, an Oscar, 3 decades of consistent, respected work. Regina King is one of the most decorated actresses in Hollywood history, and she grew up not in the glamorous Los Angeles of movie premieres, but in the working-class Los Angeles most people never see in films. She started acting as a child and worked consistently for 30 years before the industry gave her the recognition she deserved. Those 3 decades of showing up, Regina is intensely private. She doesn't perform her wealth on social media. Her day-to-day life is low-key in a way that would genuinely surprise people who assume fame automatically means a certain lifestyle. She raised her son, Ian, with an intentional commitment to keeping his feet on the ground despite the fame surrounding them.
And what we've done is taken names of people who actually work.
She didn't want him developing entitlement. She wanted him to understand work, humility, and real value. Tragically, we lost Ian in 2022, and Regina's grief was as private as everything else about her life. Regina King built her success through patience, discipline, and integrity. She invests in property, plans for generational wealth, and uses her influence to open doors for younger actors rather than climbing alone. That is what real power looks like. Number 11. Anthony Mackie. Anthony Mackie is the Falcon. He is Captain America. He is a Marvel franchise lead, and he lives in New Orleans, not Los Angeles, not New York, not in some gated community surrounded by celebrities. New Orleans, his hometown, the city that raised him. That decision, to stay, to root himself in the community that made him rather than ascend into the Hollywood bubble, tells you almost everything about his priorities. He is raising his children where he grew up, wanting them to have real childhoods, real friendships, real community, rather than the artificial, insulated world celebrity kids often inhabit. He drives regular cars and has spoken about how the performance of success, the showing off, the keeping up, holds no interest for him. He knows who he is. He doesn't need to prove it. Anthony has invested in real estate and other ventures, thinking about long-term security rather than short-term gratification. He understands that acting careers, even franchise ones, have an expiration date. He's planning for what comes after, and he stays actively involved in New Orleans, supporting local businesses, using his platform for his city.
3 times. I rapped 2 weeks later. They were like, yo, man, we need to reshoot this scene.
He is not someone who took what his community gave him and disappeared. He stayed. He's still giving back. We are just past the halfway point, and already we've seen a clear pattern. These actors are not living modestly by accident. They are choosing it, deliberately. intentionally, in the face of every cultural pressure to do the opposite. And as we move into the top 10, the stories get even more powerful. Comment right now. Are you more surprised by the actors who stayed connected to their hometowns, or the ones who stayed connected to their humble spending habits? Both are on this list. Both are extraordinary. Number 10. Viola Davis. Viola Davis may be the most talented actress working in Hollywood today. Her range is staggering. The way she accesses raw, devastating truth and puts it on screen is something that cannot be taught. It either lives in you or it doesn't. In Viola Davis, it roars. And Viola Davis grew up hungry, not metaphorically, literally. Growing up in extreme poverty in Central Falls, Rhode Island, living in rat-infested apartments, experiencing homelessness, knowing what it feels like for your stomach to be genuinely empty. She carries those memories not as trauma she's trying to outrun, but as a compass she actively uses. An Oscar, an Emmy, a Tony. She is one of an extraordinarily small group of performers who have achieved this triple crown, and she channels that success with a precision and purpose that reflects exactly where she came from. Family is at the center of everything. She is not known for accumulating things. She is known for the quality of her relationships and the ferocity of her convictions. She has fought publicly and without apology for fair compensation.
Okay.
You see Zuni now?
With the giant head?
Yeah,
no.
you see
So
that?
Let's see.
Because she understands that financial fairness isn't just personal, it's systemic, and the causes she supports are directly connected to her own story. Organizations fighting hunger, initiatives fighting poverty. She's not writing checks because it looks good in a press release. She is fighting to make sure other children don't experience what she experienced. That is not charity. That is personal. Viola Davis is not living modestly because she doesn't know how to access luxury. She's living with purpose because she never forgot what purposelessness looks like. That is a profound difference. Number 9. Michael B. Jordan. Stop what you're doing for a moment, because this one is genuinely going to make you rethink everything. Michael B. Jordan is one of the biggest leading men in Hollywood right now. Creed, Black Panther, massive paychecks, enormous profile, by virtually every metric a movie star in the fullest sense, and he lives with his parents. Yes, Michael B. Jordan, multimillionaire actor, bought a house and lives in it with his mother and his father. Before you imagine some awkward sitcom scenario, understand what this actually represents. His parents supported him through the years of grinding, the years when nothing was guaranteed. They believed in him when belief was the only currency available. When success came, Michael's response was not to buy a bachelor pad and throw parties. It was to take care of the people who took care of him. Think about that cultural message. In a world that glamorizes independence, that equates success with separation, that measures a man's arrival by how far he's moved from where he started, Michael B. Jordan looked at all of that and said no.
Win, setting you up to win. So you just decided I'm gonna make a kid and...
My definition of success includes my family, and I'm not leaving them behind just to look like I made it. He's also financially sharp, invested in business ventures, built multiple income streams, thinks about wealth in terms of longevity rather than display. And when he sees young people from his community who could fall through the cracks, he helps. He remembers, clearly and deliberately, that the version of himself that didn't make it was never far away. Michael B. Jordan is redefining what it looks like to have money, and honestly, it looks a lot better than the alternative. Number 8. Octavia Spencer. Octavia Spencer was in her 40s before Hollywood finally woke up to what she was. She worked for years, quietly, consistently, excellently, before the help in her Oscar win transformed her into a household name. Those years of working without recognition gave her a relationship with money that is genuinely unusual in this business. Octavia Spencer still clips coupons. Let that land. This woman has an Oscar. She commands serious film salaries. And she still clips coupons because she genuinely believes there is no logical reason to pay more for something than you have to. She's not embarrassed by it. She considers it common sense. And she's right. She lived in a modest home for years after her Oscar win and didn't rush out to buy a mansion. She shops at Target and seems entirely unbothered when people are surprised by this. Here's what Octavia understands that many don't. Acting careers are unpredictable. The award season spotlight is brief. The phone can stop ringing. So you save, you invest, you plan. You don't spend every peak as though it's the new permanent baseline.
Wait, you just said you think ghosts have abandonment issues?
Mine does.
Yours.
She's also incredibly generous, supporting family and causes with the same practicality she brings to everything else. And her approach to red carpet fashion makes the same point in a different language, renting gowns rather than buying them, talking openly about the absurdity of spending thousands of dollars on a dress you'll wear for 3 hours and never put on again. If that's not wisdom, I don't know what is. Number 7. Idris Elba. Idris Elba is one of the coolest human beings on the planet. This is not a controversial opinion. The man radiates charisma. He's been James Bond material for over a decade. He plays complex, powerful characters with an effortless authority that is rare. He acts, directs, DJs. By almost any measure, one of the most compelling figures in global entertainment. And he grew up in a tough part of East London. The son of immigrant parents, his father from Sierra Leone, his mother from Ghana. Before acting paid the bills, Idris worked regular jobs and has been transparent about what he did to survive. Those experiences didn't just give him material. They gave him a framework for understanding what work actually means, what money actually costs, and why neither should be taken for granted. Even at the height of his global profile, Idris maintains what you'd describe as a working-class mentality toward money, not in a limiting sense, but a grounding one. He doesn't perform wealth. He goes back to his old neighborhood in London. He maintains the friendships from before fame found him.
What he said to the first women MP, that having her in Parliament was as embarrassing as if she walked into the men's toilets. Some of Churchill's attitudes were stupid.
He's also thinking long-term, invested in business ventures, building generational wealth rather than spending on temporary pleasures, and committed to giving back to communities in Africa through his work with the United Nations. Idris Elba is proof that you can be that cool, that successful, that globally recognized, and still be completely real. Number 6. Lupita Nyong'o. How often does this happen? An actress wins an Academy Award for her very first film role, her first. Before 12 Years a Slave, Lupita Nyong'o was not a household name. After it, she became one overnight. And her response to that transformation? To stay exactly who she had always been. Lupita grew up in Kenya. Her upbringing gave her values that Hollywood could not manufacture and has not been able to erode. A grounded sense of where she came from, what truly matters, and what success is actually for.
Yes, I was at the Vanity Fair party and then I was at the Guy party.
At Guy's party, I think I left.
She goes back to Kenya regularly. She hasn't allowed the gravitational pull of celebrity to sever those roots. For years after becoming a major star, Lupita lived in a relatively modest apartment in Brooklyn. She's been spotted using public transportation, shopping at regular stores, living like a person, not a brand. She chooses roles based on artistic merit and meaning, rather than chasing the biggest paycheck. On screen and on the red carpet, she is extraordinary. In daily life, she moves quietly. She advocates for education, women's rights, and wildlife conservation, putting real resources behind each cause. Her perspective on wealth is genuinely refreshing. Success for Lupita is measured by the quality of your work and the impact you make, not the size of your bank account or the label on your clothes. She has been famous for nearly a decade. She has not changed. That takes more discipline than most people realize. Number 5. Denzel Washington. There may be no more respected figure in Hollywood than Denzel Washington. 2 Oscars, decades of iconic roles, the rare ability to command both critical reverence and massive box office returns. By virtually every assessment, one of the greatest actors who has ever lived, and he has been married to the same woman since 1983. Think about that. Denzel Washington became one of the most famous, most admired, most desired men on the planet. And he stayed married to Pauletta for over 40 years. In Hollywood, where relationships sometimes don't survive the promotional tour for a film, Denzel and Pauletta built a family and kept it together. That is not an accident. It is a reflection of what Denzel values, a value system that runs consistently through every aspect of his life: family over fame, faith over flash, privacy over presence. Denzel is deeply religious, and his faith is not a performance. It is the genuine foundation of how he sees himself, how he treats others, how he makes decisions. It keeps him humble in a world that has been trying to inflate his ego for 4 decades. He drives regular cars. He doesn't flaunt. He's been spotted shopping at ordinary stores looking like someone's uncle, rather than one of the most powerful people in his industry.
Accelerated information age, we're getting further and further apart. We're not getting together, we're getting further and further and further apart.
He doesn't need the external validation of expensive things because he has an internal security most people spend entire lifetimes chasing. And he gives, significantly and consistently, churches, schools, educational programs for underprivileged youth, with a quiet generosity that doesn't require a press release. Denzel Washington is the standard, not just for acting, for how to carry success. Number 4. Whoopi Goldberg. EGOT, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony. Fewer than 20 people in the entire history of entertainment have achieved this. Whoopi Goldberg is one of them. Entertainment royalty by any definition. And she will show up to work in sweatpants and not lose a single second of sleep about it. Whoopi grew up in a housing project in Chelsea, Manhattan. She was a single mother who lived on welfare. She struggled, genuinely, materially struggled, before the industry recognized what she was capable of. When it finally did, those experiences didn't disappear. They became the lens through which she sees everything. Whoopi doesn't care about fashion police.
I kept trying to get to that place where I would be in that angst.
She doesn't care about how a woman of her stature should present herself. She cares about comfort, authenticity, and living on her own terms. On The View, she appears in whatever she wants. She is not performing celebrity for your approval. She has talked openly about financial responsibility, about saving, about not spending beyond your means to maintain an image that serves other people's expectations rather than your own life. She values experiences and comfort over possessions. And what Whoopi Goldberg has built, that EGOT, that decades-long career across every medium, stands entirely on its own. It doesn't require a mansion to validate it or a Bentley to confirm it. It speaks for itself. She knows that. And that knowledge, that security, is its own kind of extraordinary wealth. Number 3. Tyler Perry. A billionaire. Let me be very clear about that. Tyler Perry is a billionaire. He has his own studio complex in Atlanta, Tyler Perry Studios, built on a former military base, 330 acres, one of the largest studio lots in America. He creates, produces, writes, directs, and sometimes acts in his own projects. One of the most powerful, most self-sufficient people in the entire entertainment industry. He built his empire from nothing, and he owns it. And Tyler Perry grew up homeless, living in his car while trying to make it as a playwright.
For my house, everything is just, I love architecture from the bottom of my heart. If I wasn't in this business...
Barely surviving while the world ignored him. Those two facts exist in the same person. And what's remarkable is that success didn't erase the memory of suffering. It clarified it. He is not known for throwing his wealth around. While he has substantial properties, his day-to-day approach is focused on building, not displaying. He's hands-on. He still writes. He still directs. He could sit back entirely and collect checks from his empire. He doesn't. Because the work matters. Because the standard matters. And the generosity. This is where Tyler Perry becomes difficult to categorize. He has paid off strangers' mortgages. He has walked into grocery stores and paid for every customer. He has given cars to people who needed them. During the pandemic, he quietly helped enormous numbers of struggling people. Without press releases, without cameras rolling. Tyler Perry understands that wealth is power, and power carries responsibility. He has taken that responsibility more seriously than almost anyone in his position ever has. For a billionaire, he is remarkably uninterested in performing billionaire. Number 2. Tiffany Haddish. Tiffany Haddish has one of the most remarkable origin stories in Hollywood, not just in terms of talent finding its moment, but of a human being surviving circumstances that would have broken most people and coming out the other side with her humor, her heart, and her sense of self completely intact. Before Girls Trip made her a global name, before the major studio deals, Tiffany Haddish was homeless, living in her car. This was not decades ago. It was close, and it was real, and she carries that memory every single day. And what does she do with it? She kept living in the same small apartment she had before fame arrived, for years after the breakthrough. She didn't immediately buy a mansion. She rewears outfits. In Hollywood, where celebrities wear a designer gown once and never put it on again, Tiffany Haddish wore her white Alexander McQueen Oscar gown again and again, talking about it publicly without embarrassment. She paid good money for that dress and was going to get her money's worth. That is not just frugality. That is a statement.
McQueen? It's an Alexander McQueen dress, $4,000, and you will see that again.
She drives modest cars, shops at discount stores, and talks openly about her financial habits with a humor and directness that is completely, distinctively hers. But here's the other side, the side that might surprise you even more. She is extraordinarily generous with her family, with causes she cares about, with people who are struggling, because she knows what struggling looks and feels like from the inside, and she cannot pass it by. Tiffany Haddish is proof that you can be humble and hilarious, careful with money, and completely open-hearted, and make it look like the most natural thing in the world. Number 1. Dave Chappelle. There was only ever one choice for this number. In 2005, Dave Chappelle walked away from $50 million. Let's sit in that. $50 million, the most lucrative deal in television history at that time. Chappelle's show, one of Comedy Central's most successful programs ever, a cultural phenomenon, he walked away from all of it. The entertainment industry had no framework for what Dave did. People called him crazy. They could not comprehend why someone would voluntarily leave $50 million on the table. But Dave wasn't crazy. Dave was clear. He understood something most people take years to learn, that money at the cost of your peace of mind, your integrity, and your creative soul is not a good deal. That saying yes to the wrong thing, even for $50 million, is still saying yes to the wrong thing. So he went to Yellow Springs, Ohio. Not Los Angeles, not New York, Yellow Springs, a small town with fewer than 4,000 people. He bought a farm, 65 acres. He planted himself there with his family, and he stayed. The people of Yellow Springs protect Dave Chappelle because he is one of them. He shows up at the local coffee shop. He talks to people. In that small town, he is as close to a regular person as someone with his profile can be.
It's a small town. It's like 3,600 people. There was a New Year's Eve celebration. It's nuts.
And that is entirely by design. His home is nice. It is not extravagant. His clothes are simple. His cars are regular. He doesn't need validation that he made the right choice, because he lives the rightness of that choice every day. Dave Chappelle is one of the greatest comedians alive. He has since returned to performing, on his own terms, at his own pace. He performs when he wants. He says what he actually thinks. He answers to no one. That is what $50 million could not buy, and he chose it anyway. The real lesson in Dave Chappelle's story, and in every story on this list, is that wealth is not a number. It is not a mansion or a car collection or a designer wardrobe. Real wealth is control. Control over your time, your choices, your creative direction, your relationships, your peace. Real wealth is being able to look at $50 million and say, "Not like this," and mean it. These 19 actors understand something most of us spend our whole lives trying to learn, that who you are when nobody is measuring you is the only version of you that actually counts. So here's the question I want you to answer in the comments right now. Which of these 19 actors surprised you the most? Was it Michael B. Jordan still living with his parents? Dave Chappelle turning down $50 million to farm in Ohio? Octavia Spencer clipping coupons after her Oscar win? Or someone else entirely? And more importantly, which of their approaches to money and success do you actually want to adopt? The choices these people made are not available only to celebrities. The principles are available to everyone. You don't need a film credit to decide that peace matters more than performance. You don't need an Oscar to choose family over flash. If this video made you think differently about success, even slightly, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more content like this. And share it with someone who needs to hear it, someone chasing the wrong version of success, or someone who needs to be reminded that where they started does not determine where they're going. We will see you in the next one.